everybody, this is Muchaneta here. I'm at the Munich Fabric Starts Keyhouse with David Shah.
Hi,
He is
Muchaneta.
the people's favourite here at the Keyhouse, and he had just come off stage
The people's
where you
favourite.
gave an amazing performance. I could hear it here. And can you tell us a little bit about what you talked about on stage today?
Yes, I talked about the mess that our business is in. Fashion is totally unpopular. It's seen as a black negative thing by most of the consumers today because of the waste involved, we all know about. But it's a real problem time because things are really changing. We are at a moment of austerity. We're at a moment of generation change. This is the most crucial thing because our business is structured on people like me. Works in trends, works in producing cycles, works in shipping. The whole world is changing. It's working to don't copy my style, individuality, meaningfulness, experience, all things that our business is not geared up to face. Our market is aging, so, boomers, my generation, the people who have driven this market, we're getting old and we're not buying so much. So people have to learn to take their attention away from me and put it on people who are under 25. And this is a very different How old are you, Janetta?
I am 40.
So you're an extra. Okay. But you're not under 25.
I look under 25, but I'm not.
But no, seriously, because if you look at this generation, from tennis, Coco Gauff, right?
Yeah.
To Billie Eilish winning 5 Grammys. How old is she? Just turned 18, right?
Yeah.
To Greta, changing the world, Joan of Arc, 17 years old. These kids care about the future and they're moving for the future, and it's all about not buying clothes, it's about getting on with things, hope punk, empathy, community, togetherness, inclusivity, real new vocabulary and a real new attitude.
So what you're saying is that businesses have to change their approach.
Yes.
They need to stop selling to, let's say, a customer like myself who grew up in the 90s
No,
versus...
they should not count on a customer like yourself because you are not a prospect for the future. Listen, we all talked 3-4 years ago, forgive my getting old, I can't remember, we all talked about Vetements, the Vetements arrival, the famous DHL sweatshirt, how it changed the business. We all then talked about millennials, how they have changed the face of luxury, how they forced companies to get away from the sartorial, the elegant, God bless him, the Tom Ford approach into streetwear, into athleisure wear, into comfort, into a real new attitude to things which has changed the whole game. And change is coming in a major way, in a bigger way. So my way of doing business is, I'm afraid, got a timeline. And it will not go on forever.
This is true. But do you think that they're getting through to these younger under 25s? Do you think they're doing it right?
No, I've actually started to publish 2 new trend books within my publishing group. We Textile View is our Bible, but View 2. But I've started one in Trend House called, one is just aimed at Gen Z. It's because everybody's like, David, yes, we know they're important, but how do we design for them? How do we understand what they want? Because they're not my generation, So there's really that part of it. We've done another one just about the athleisure market. Everybody thinks athleisure's come off the boil. It's not true at all. It's just not talked about. It's not quite the 6.2 CAGR growth of it was 3 years ago, but it's still an important growing market.
Okay.
So a lot of change, and if we don't face the change and get on with the change, we're never going to survive.
Do you think businesses are taking into account the conscious consumer? Because that seems to be a term that is thrown around quite a bit, and a lot of brands seem to be on this kind of road to try and change and try to accommodate their needs, their wants, and so forth.
Very good point. The business. And I've been in this business 40 years, and I've got to tell you, it's not always been a good business. Selling a profit has always come first, get that bottom line. The consumer has not been good either, because if you look at the success of budget retail from Primark to all the big stores, it's all been new wardrobe, new image. So none of us has been good. But suddenly, a year ago, the business had what I would call a Damascene. St. Paul, on his way to Tarsus, had this sudden vision, God came to him and said, change your life. And so suddenly our business has gone through this whole change our life, change our image. So that goes from actually being sustainability. We can't move for sustainability. We're all sustainable. We're all looking to recycle, etc., etc. We need to talk about that because there are a lot of Pinocchios in the business.
true.
We're all about inclusive, we're all inclusive, we're all inclusive. We've got to have our fat person, our slim person, our pink person, black person, purple person. We all have to have everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing good is the new philosophy of the fashion business. But how true that is, I do not know, because I was talking to people on the way here who are German manufacturers. And I said, yeah, David, yes, we all talk about sustainability, but when it comes down to it, they'd rather buy the trouser for 115 euros than 129. The problem is, who's putting the money where their mouth is? Everybody talks, but who is paying for it? And that's really the problem.
I do think that we are at a place now where the conversation is no longer about talking about it, about doing. Wouldn't you say?
And that's coming back to my original point. It's not me that's doing it. We might hold the reins, we might hold the assets because we are, the new old, and we've got the house and we've got the bank account and we've got the stocks and shares, and the millennials and the Gen Z have got nothing, etc., etc. No problem. It's they who are driving it, not us. They are pushing it. If you look at the whole, something like the Extinction Rebellion in London. I was a bit disappointed in Amsterdam. It was a bit like nothing really happened there. But in London, it was all age groups, all classes, but it's really driven by the kids. And this changes the whole hope punk movement of saying the world's a mess, but we're not going to give up. We're going to clean it up. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to make it a better place. It's driven by a new generation. I cannot tell you, Gen Z is not just about changing the look of fashion. It's about changing the way fashion is made, how we make it, and how we behave.
So when it comes to sustainability, would you agree that it's a long-term thing? It's not something that companies can implement straight away, it happens straight away. It's got to be in for the long run. You've got to be able to commit to it and change things bit by bit.
I think I quite agree, because with sustainability comes a big discussion about honesty. And honesty is the new word replacing authenticity. We've had authentic, but now it's about honesty. Are you an honest person? Are you an honest company? Can I trust you? This kind of story. So the whole thing about sustainability it is not a trend. It is a long-term approach, right? There's no discussion about it. In my opinion, the issues are big. The only way to make sustainability really work is government legislation. It's the really way to make it happen, because, as I say, it's a very split world between I still want to look good on Instagram and I still want to go to Primark and I still want to buy that £9 bikini, and people who really want to make things happen in a new way. The trouble is today that there is too much noise about sustainability. It's typical us. As soon as something happens in fashion, we all jump on the bandwagon. So everybody's on the bandwagon. So for the last 18 months, you couldn't find anybody who came on to, have you got something recycled? Have you got recycled polyester? Have you got sustainable? Have you got this? Everybody thinks, it's in, I better do it. So I'm very worried, but there is so much noise. I'm going deaf. Everywhere, this show, everywhere you go, sustainability. No. So where is the threshold? Where is the tolerance threshold? Where do I get just turn off? That's what I'm worried about.
Do you think it's the pressure, maybe?
No, it's just us, the way we behave. Number two, the problem is that people don't understand sustainability. There's still many people who don't understand what it's really all about. Everybody thinks we should stop eating meat, right? I'm not saying anything like that. I don't eat much meat, but stop eating meat is not going to solve the world's problems, because where are we going to grow all the soya, Everybody thinks cotton totes are better than plastic bags. It's not true at all. You need to wear a cotton tote at least 850 times to make it sustainable. Who carries a cotton tote for 3 years, right? Nobody. So nobody quite understands, everything's domino. Everything has an effect on everything. The way, if you do that, yes, but it's all pushing that way. So that's the problem. The number 3 problem is who is honest about it. What is organic? If I buy an organic T-shirt, well, wait a minute. If that T-shirt is 5% organic cotton and 95% normal cotton, does that make an organic T-shirt or not? I don't know. You tell me. But the real problem facing it, and I really want people to wake up to this. There is an issue, and people are going to buy less. There's no doubt in my mind people are going to buy less because of austerity, but because of woke and because of concern for climate change in the world. And this is ingrained. So the market is going to get smaller. My word is reduction, not sustainability. The future is about reduction, reducing how much we make, reducing how we spend, reducing our wardrobe, everything about reduction. Now the question is, in a business where things are being reduced,
Yes.
all right, how do I make money? How can I make money in a market which is getting smaller and smaller? So we have to look for new solutions, and new solutions are not just being innovative, doing something new. Of course, that will play a part, creativity will play a part, but the other part is, where do we lose most of our money, right? We lose most of our money in markdowns.
Yes.
You know, I live in Amsterdam. Our sales have been going on since Sinterklaas, right? Since December 5. I'm still finding the end of January, I'm going to any store, 70%, everything, final markdown, final. Wherever you go, Italy, it's markdown. So the question is, reduce the markdowns so I don't lose money on markdowns. So how do I do that? I have to start really looking at the world of AI, big data, automation, the whole cycle of how can I predict better. I'm not saying artificial intelligence will ever replace the merchandiser or the designer. That's not possible.
Okay.
Because we have intuition, we have the bird's eye view, we have the smell,
the feel,
right?
the touch, the everything.
But put the two together, and you can really make something happen exciting. You know, because with AI, I can analyze my market better because my maths is not so good. I can't watch what's going on here. So it's not just a question of having data from your sales; it's data about what's happening in the whole market. So put the two together, we can reduce the amount of clothes we buy, but sell more of what we produce.
Okay.
And then we add to that value added. So value added, less stock, less markdown, that kind of way. And then creativity in a new initial way, digitally, whatever way you want. Then we start to make a new industry with less waste and still profits. Very big challenge.
I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but I also, to add to what you just said, people are always going to buy things with money they have in their pocket. So if you have like a $4.99,
I wonder about that.
no, because I've asked people.
Listen, I have a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you like Kim Kardashian?
I can tolerate her, yes.
Do you like Emma Watson?
She's all right. I'm not a big Harry
Who
Potter
do
fan.
you like?
Right.
Listen, all right. But listen, I mean, I just take those two as an example of going forward. I mean, everybody, whenever I give a speech, they say, who likes Kim?
Yeah.
And you go, no, Kim's bad news. Kanye West is all about, Kendall's the latest thing, and it's like pop-ups and launching things, and it's all about. But what you've got to face is that Emma is very nice, but she's only 5% of the market. Kim is 95% of that market. But even she is going back to law school like Dad, who wants to be a lawyer, and Kendall is lobbying Congress about pollution. So everybody's in the doing good business. And I genuinely believe, I look at myself, look at your stuff, I don't know. I ask, are you buying less? And everybody talks to me, I am buying less clothes. They are buying less clothes. Not just because they want to spend the money in a nice restaurant, or we're going to have an experience weekend, or I want to go to Antarctica. It's because they really, I don't need it. And that's becoming a growing sensation. And then you add to that the whole second-hand, real vintage story that everybody is buying vintage. And that's a Dutch thing. I mean, it was a Nakenstraat, zipper and all that. The Dutch were always good at that. Yeah. But suddenly, everywhere you go, it's more, I don't know, I have to talk to MFS, because every show I go to has a vintage hall.
Really?
And everybody's in the vintage hall and nobody's in the exhibition because everybody's looking at the vintage. So this is serious challenges, renting, vintage, swapping.
See, I'm finding the younger generation, like the under 25s, embracing that. Yes. But the ones that may be over 25 or over 30 are still buying.
My generation is still buying, right? Which is the boomer generation. I think, as I told you, it's Generation Z and the under 25s who are motoring this change. But you can see how much influence Greta had on climate change. 16-year-old schoolgirls suddenly in the extinction river, they were like 55-year-old accountants from the counties of London, you name it. She touched people. And this thing is touching people, it's touching different age groups. I told you, there is still that Instagram market, there is still that Primark market. They do it well, they know what they're doing. I'm not saying that's going to disappear, but I'm going to say that it's going to get reduced. Not all of them will survive. Okay. And the people who are hit most is the middle class.
Yes.
There is no middle class. So all those fabulous department stores which were so esteemedly middle class, like Macy's, Barney's, John Lewis, Debenhams, all of our, House of Fraser, are disappearing. So there's no middle. You either do it best, or you do it as best as you can. But there's no better. Now we used to have good, better, best. But that's
Get rid of the middle. Get rid of the middleman. So you've educated me today. I keep hearing the words.
I'm sorry,
the
but
business
I'm
of
sorry
doing
that you're
good.
40. You're absolute irrelevance. Sorry.
Yes, I
Have
do
your
my bit. I
moment.
do my bit.
We're going to start a charity fund support.
So in general, so what do you think, and last question, of the Keyhouse itself, do you think it's kind of helping get that message out there to the industry? In terms of the people that are kind of showcasing here
I
today.
can't just talk about Keyhouse, but I think talking about MFS and what the Kindler family have done, they were the first, right? They saw that trade shows have to be more than just passing on a business order. But you have to create an event around it. Of course, they've been copied ever since, but they're still the best at saying, okay, you can do the business, you can network, and then you can socialize, and there are things happening here, whether it's listening to boring David Shah or whatever it is, or conferences or the Edelcourt, there are things happening all around it which are interesting. And I was coming here today because there's a lot of pressure of this event, because it's exactly the same timing as Milano Unica, as you know, started today. So I'm not flying tonight off to Milan. But I was talking to people on the way here, and they said, no, we still come here because we're not going to Milan. This gets our preference. We're in the menswear. They're in the menswear business, actually, because it's like Vienna. It's like, we make trousers, but we're coming here because we like the show, we see who we want, and we get it done in a very efficient way. So it's created its identity. It's started showing us that trade shows are more than just business events, and it's become a German institution. It's not an international institution, but it does a very good job.
I agree completely.
And they're nice people.
They are lovely, yeah.
Nice people, and that comes through in the spirit.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Much appreciated.
Pleasure.
David Shah, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.